Welcome to Relationship Renegades on Fun for Life Radio. I'm one of your hosts, Rachele Brooke Smith.
And I'm Emilio Palafox.
And today we have some super special guests that we just are so excited to have here. You guys listen in because this episode is about to change your life. We actually just got to be with these beautiful angels walking on earth, and they had a massive impact on us. And we're so excited to share this with you guys.
Yeah, we literally just came back 2 weekends ago from Soul Liberation, their event in St. Augustine, Florida. And I am just so pleased to announce Dr. Jason Ozuna and Carolyn Ozuna, a married couple that are just doing some incredible work out there in the world. Dr. Jason Ozuna is a coach, healer, and guide for those looking to take their life to the next level. He believes the spine is a tuning fork for the soul and works with the invisible forces around the body to help release old bound energy that is holding us back. He has helped thousands of people around the world with his healing energy work and concepts. And Carolyn Ozuna, his wife, is an author, coach, and guide. Her videos and healing sessions, both online and in person, have touched hundreds of thousands of people. This dynamic duo holds live energy healing events, the one that we just went to, online group masterminds, and works one-on-one with private clients. Just a warning though, seriously, only work with them if you are ready to have your life changed. A lot of people talk about that all the time, but if you really want your life changed, a lot is going to happen and will happen. It truly is 30 years of growth in 3 days. And it truly is an understatement to what they create for their clients. And we were so grateful to have experienced that this past couple of weekends. And we can't wait to dive deep into their mission, what we experienced, and more. So welcome to the show, to Relationship Renegades.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Really happy to be here.
Yeah, it's such an honor to be here on the show.
Yeah.
And definitely, stay tuned because at the end, they have a really special free gift that they're going to offer to everyone. And we'll leave people on a cliffhanger. You have to stay tuned and listen to get that free gift.
It's a good one. I mean,
it's a really good one.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a 7-day Heal to Manifest challenge to really start not only healing yourself, but your lineage. I think a lot of people don't really think about the lineage and everything that we carry. So it's not only yourself, but your lineage. So stay tuned on that. We'll give you guys all the links and we'll post everything for those listening. But
and the number.
Yeah. So we will let's dive in.
Let's dive in. Okay. Well, my first question, my gosh, so many things.
I know.
Is I really want to know, obviously we were at your event. We had such incredible experiences, which we'll get into in the episode. But really, I would love to know how you guys found each other. I think for me, the story of what brought you here and especially to each other, because I think so many people out there, might feel discouraged, might feel lost, might feel stuck in relationships that don't necessarily feel like are bringing out the best in them. And when I'm around you guys, it's so apparent how you guys just both elevate each other so much in such a supportive, healthy, beautiful way, are able to run a business together, help so many people together, and have so much love in all of that between you and between everyone you interact with. Yeah. So how'd you guys get here?
Yeah.
You want me to take it?
Yeah, whatever you like.
Well, like we've told you guys, we believe that, everybody's life is kind of on a path, right? An energetic path. So I had massive events happen in my life where my dad was actually passing away during the time right before I met her. And then, so he passed away. The girlfriend I was with at that time broke up with me. Almost on the same day.
Yeah.
And so I thought destroyed, my life was over. I, at that time, actually was struggling a little bit with relationships. She was going through her own shift, which I'll let her explain later. But from my perspective, I was like, man, my life's over. What else is gonna go on, right? And so I went to an event and then she was there. I started seeing that there was a lot of synchronicities happening where there would only be one seat left in the whole room. And then she would come up and be like, hey, do you want to sit here next to me? And she's like, yeah. And then there was one time where I was in the elevator where I was like, I feel like she's gonna be on the other side of the elevator, right? And so the doors opened and there she was. So
And the
There
funny
was
part
so many-
was like during that moment, I remember I was outside the elevator and I was like, God, because I was going through a divorce and I was like, I'm not ready for a relationship. And I could not get him off my mind.
Yeah.
And I was like, God, if he's the one, just please just give me a sign. And ding, the elevator doors open and he's like, GQ. He's like, hey, I was just thinking about you. And I was like, that's just, and I was like super guarded at the time too. I was just like, oh my, like he asked for my number and I remember I was like, yes. And he's like, it felt like kind of like a screw you, but I said yes.
Yeah, I stopped crying after that point.
But I just knew he was like, I knew we were supposed to be in relationship and it was beautiful too, because I just remember that moment where it was like, I just knew. And I was like, I've been looking for you for 33 years. I was like, do you want to come out to my hotel room and have some pizza? And he said yes. And then like from there, I'll let you continue.
We
It
had
just,
pizza.
yeah, we had pizza.
Yeah, we
Really
had
great
pizza.
pizza. And
And from that point on, you know, we thought that we met our soulmates. We remembered our souls. We also believe that your soul actually, when you're in the soul space, you kind of see past, present, and future all at once, right? So you not only remember past memories, but you can also remember the future, because since it's happening at the same time, then as soon as you see something that's happening right now in the future, you're remembering it now. So when you see it, like maybe a house that you're supposed to be getting, or a person, you know, that's in your future, you're like, I don't know why, but I feel like I know you from somewhere. Have we met before? And it's like, yes, but not back then. It's, you know, going to happen. It hasn't happened yet, right? So we went through this awakening where we felt each other. And then afterwards, we started going through the process of getting to know each other. So there's the awakening of the soulmate connection. And then there's the processing that you have to do along the way. So it's like that first year, after the awakening part, we go into like the nitty gritty of like facing ourselves. So we have this incredible power, both of us, right? We're intense human beings, just like you guys are. And so that first year was like getting triggered, getting angry at each other was almost like one of the hardest years I've been through in a relationship. And I believe for her the same. But because of that and all the processing of that, it led to like understanding relationships at a whole nother level, understanding ourselves at a whole nother level, breaking our energies free at a whole nother level. And then we got to eventually the same place that we were at when we met. And then we started surpassing that. So now not only do we feel like we're so connected as we did back then, but we feel even more so because we started connecting with like, these are just powerful energies not to be afraid of, but actually to connect with and then grow from. And that's what we're doing.
Wow. Gosh, there's so much to get into this. And I really want to go back because actually I have several different girlfriends right now, and we often meet people who are going through breakups. And obviously it feels extremely hard. You have all these different conflicting energies of like, part of me knows I shouldn't be with this person, but a part of me really misses them. And a part of me is wondering, did I do the wrong thing? Like, what if they're the right person and I'm just making a big mistake here? And also I have a lot of girlfriends who, you know, have done a lot of work on themselves. And they're like, I feel like I get all these lessons that I've been learning and working on because they've been, you know, doing personal development, spiritual work, like for a long time. But then when they get in intimate relationships and they start dating someone, they start to get close, they just express to me that it's been extremely difficult for them in that work, right? They feel really good on their own and with their own stuff, but when they get faced with a partner, it like just, they have a really hard time navigating and it doesn't seem to ever work out. And they're really trying to get to that next level. And so I'd love to hear from you guys because again, you guys met, I think, you know, you were going through a breakup, you were going through a divorce. You felt like in that moment, your life was ending. And then all of a sudden you find each other and then all of a sudden like a whole nother something happens. What advice would you give to people who are in that space of a breakup or a divorce or feeling really low and alone and afraid and scared and just wondering like, is there something greater that I'm supposed to find or am I supposed to stay here?
Can I take this one?
Yeah.
So I absolutely I feel like I'm like a lighthouse for hearts that have been broken. Like, just come to me and we will heal that heart, because I believe when the heart is breaking, it's actually expanding. When the heart breaks, there's like outer walls and shells that it has to break through these illusions, and it has to break through the perceived perceptions of what love is actually, because we've been taught by wounded parents and wounded people. And that's where the lineage healing comes in, of what love looks like. And so what I thought love looked like, and this is like for real, I thought love was like, oh, you threaten divorce to get what you want. Like, my mom used to threaten divorce all the time in the relationship. My mom and dad are still married. They probably still threaten divorce. I don't know, but they're still together. But for me, Jason, I remember me and Jason connecting, and he was like, we really need to learn these unhealthy habits that we've learned from our parents. And that's where the lineage energy starts coming in. And if I could just share briefly, I mean, this is passed down energy. So as children, you might not even remember anything because it's suppressed, but they've actually, I'm sure you guys have heard of epigenetics, where they did a brutal study on rats, but they shocked these rats and they rang a bell every time. They rang the bell, they shocked the rats. They rang the bell, they shocked the rats. And then the rats actually got pregnant and had babies, and the babies would just hear the bell and they would go into shock, like they were being shocked. They never actually had that happen to them though. That was a passed down thing and experience. So
in the DNA.
Then the DNA, exactly. And one of the things that I really want to share for anyone who's been through a breakup, going through a breakup, or in a relationship right now, whenever we are with someone and they are mirroring back to us parts of our fragmented personality that we have split off from, it's just us trying to become more whole. Yeah. And if you come at it from that place, your entire life will change. Okay, your partner is showing up controlling or stubborn or however you're seeing them. Okay, where am I doing that? This is a part of me that I'm trying to love. If I can love that, this is like the first step to consciousness is evolution, I believe. Because when you can start seeing that in that person and then loving it outside of you, it's the bridge to loving it within you. So it's such a powerful experience to be able to start processing energy in this way. And that's the spiritual foundation for all enlightenment, is how you're processing energy. And so that's what I love about what Jason and I do, is we really like, I feel like I'm the door opener for people just to come in. We get started on the lineage healing. That's why I'm excited about the free gift. And then Jason has like the shovel ready to go deep and dive into our souls, and he's like, are you ready? Like, and it's like explosive energy. You guys felt it at Soul Liberation, where it's just like, is this real? They're moving energy around the body. It's like this explosive experience. So all relationships are your ability to be able to really see and face all those parts of yourself that you don't yet love.
Yeah.
So that's what I believe.
Yeah.
Beautifully said, not only about the lineage and providing an example as to why people are feeling the way that they're feeling, or why people get triggered. And I really want to dive into that. Yes. And for those listening, you're tuning into Relationship Renegades on Fun for Life Radio. We're interviewing Dr. Jason Ozuna and Carolyn Ozuna. And we just came back from a Soul Liberation event. We're going to talk about the energy work that they do and how different it is, how unique it is, and how the very unique and hybrid approach that they do to really liberate the soul. And before we get into that, I want to touch base a little bit deeper into what you said, Carolyn. It reminds me of what we talk about, how here at Relationship Renegades, that triggers are gifts, right? Just wrapped in ugly wrapping paper, as Rachel would say. And but it's just another opportunity to see what hasn't been healed within us yet. And in your words, as we take this deeper, the soul wants to get back to itself, meaning like connection and oneness and wholeness, as you guys said, and it will manifest certain things, not good or bad, right? Because we thinking makes it so, but it'll just manifest certain things so that it can learn certain things that it needs to evolve. And I love the way, and this is taking the language from you guys from the event, but for our listeners who maybe just be hearing this for the time, like, what the heck are you guys talking about? That the soul will manifest certain events in your life, which is all helping you evolve and get you essentially to where you want, everything you wanted in your life. But people may not be thinking about it that way. So this is a two-part question. What do you feel, how would you define soul? And two, let's just dive deep as to, what do you mean that the soul will manifest certain things to evolve and get you to where you want to go?
Well, I believe your soul is like the most authentic expression of your original beingness, right?
Mm.
We kind of come down here to evolve that. And so we're kind of put into this world where we forget that we're these powerful souls, that we can go through this very realistic world. If we don't know that if we know that like we're powerful souls, if we actually knew that, then this wouldn't be such a real world. It'd be like a game, right? If we put on a VR headset and we know we're putting on the headset, then it's still a game. If you forget that you put it on and you're immersed in this world, now it's a real world, right? So that's the soul coming in. When you start to think it, well, if I'm supposed to grow my soul, then isn't every moment of my life trying to both challenge me and support me in the same equal way, right? So when you look at life as like, it's always happening for me, here's a challenge, and then where's the support? Then we can process both, add them both, and then rise in our soul, right? And if you look at relationships the same way, that would be another thing that we advise people to do, is don't look at the relationships as this relationship's only meant to make me feel good. Because sometimes that's why we get into them thinking that, well, you know, sunshine and rainbows, my spouse is supposed to only take care of me, make me feel good. If they challenge me, that's a bad thing. And then we push each other away because we're being challenged. Instead of realizing that, well, the challenge is necessary for the growth, just like muscle, you know, working out for our muscles. And so when we start to look at it that way, we start to think of like, well, doesn't it make sense for us to manifest these experiences in our life in both directions of challenge and support, both, you know, loving and challenging, so that we can both grow stronger together. When you look at it that way, then you look at your, you know, the challenges that your other half gives you as something to enlighten you, as opposed to something to bring you down.
Can you also give the example that you gave via, you know, all of life to evolve needs both the essence of challenge and support. And if we don't have an equal balance of both, then it just doesn't work. Can you explain that example that you shared at the event? Because I thought it was so good with like the hot cocoa versus the, like, you know, if you worked out 24/7. Yeah.
Yeah. What I was saying over there was that if you think about it, like if we just support ourselves and just stayed in bed all day, didn't move our bodies at all, just stayed in bed, maybe just watch TV, then eventually, you know, from a physical perspective, our whole body would start to wither away and just die, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we did that 24 hours a day, if we just worked out 24 hours a day, then we'd overwhelm our body. And again, that would be the same effect, just in a different direction, right?
Yeah.
So when we think about, you know, our children and the protection that we give to them from pain or from challenge, sometimes we glorify the support part. And then that's when we start to grow up. We start to think like, well, if I get in a relationship, they're supposed to be nice to me, support me. And again, it's like kind of like, well, the whole, I'm supposed to be wrapped in a warm blanket, drinking hot cocoa all day, right?
Yeah.
Or it doesn't work like that. So when you start to see that they're coming in to give you an equal amount of both, that the entire life is about both, then not only can you look at your relationship, but the relationship within yourself of like, well, I messed up. It's like, well, did I mess up, or did I go through an experience of challenge? And did I have an outcome? And can I learn from that outcome? Can I be appreciative of that outcome? Can I love and have gratitude for that outcome? And gratitude, love, appreciation, they're all synonymous with, with love, right?
Yeah.
And love is a powerful force on earth that apply to any system, like your body system or your soul will evolve anything that it's applied to. And so that's
Yeah. No, I love that you shared that. And I would love to go a little bit deeper into this concept of, you know, Caroline, you brought up this part of other people, whether it's intimate relationship, friendships, business relationships, anything that ever triggers us about someone. If someone does something and it like causes all this anger, frustration, that feeling of being triggered emotionally, you know, I think a lot of people were so programmed to run away from that, to blame it on that person of like, I can't believe you would do this to me. Like, how dare you? Like, just a lot of blame on the other side. And you had brought up this concept that I love so much, of all those things that they're doing are parts of us inside us, like our stubbornness, our selfishness, our parts of us that maybe we don't like or we've never really faced before. And we're just getting shown that part of us. And it is only when we can actually learn how to love that, not necessarily like it or condone it, but love that part of them and bridge back to us. Can you dive deeper into that so that people can really understand? And also this concept of all the judgments that we have about emotions and about anything in life. I think we talked a lot about this at the event, and I would love this for something people to really take away to really get a grasp on all the things that we judge and label as good and bad, as opposed to it's just what is, and they're all valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you guys are anyone listening, and you guys are going to really love what I'm about to say, because it's really going to bring it home for how you are understanding your life and what is happening to you right now. I always like to say that when you discover a trigger, it's like you're, an archaeologist in a desert and you've just discovered millions of dollars worth of pottery, ancient pottery. So it's like you are going into the depths of your being, of your soul, and you are like digging up all of this yummy stuff, and it doesn't feel yummy. Sometimes it feels yucky, and that's okay. And that's where the judgment on, oh, I don't like the way this feels. Well, if you judge it, you push it away. But if you can say, okay, I don't like this part, I don't like this part, but I love all of these parts, then you really bring them all together, and you're more whole as a being, and everything outside of you won't trigger you as much. It's only triggering you because it is a part of you that you split off from. And one of the things that I really love about this is we can end self-punishment. So many times we don't understand that if someone is acting in violence at us outside of us, because this goes for domestic, and not everyone has to agree with this. This is just something that I have found in the work that I do with others, whether it's domestic abuse or any type of violence you are creating outside of you, there is polarity within you. There's a fight within you. So the only thing that can happen is a fight outside of you. You're looking for it. You're looking for a fight because there's so many fragmented parts of you that you're just not willing to see or love. So what I talk about is ending self-punishment. And when you end self-punishment within, when there is no enemy within, I love that old proverb, there is no enemy outside of you. There just can't be. Yeah. And so when the trigger comes up, when that energy comes up, it really matters how you perceive that trigger coming up. It's like, if you could just understand, literally anything that's coming into life normally just flows right through us. But let's just say, Emilio, you had your heart broken by a girl in a red Corvette when you were 16 years old, and you guys are driving down the highway and you see a red Corvette, that is going to trigger that energy within you. And then you're like, oh man, I feel sad for some reason. If you let it flow and you actually let your heart burn and you let it flow, you can become cleared out of this energy. So that's where we really come into play, where we go, like when we're working on you guys at the event and we're kind of diving deep into that. And sometimes at the events, I can actually get into an energy where I will trigger that whatever trauma they went through, and then they get to process that feeling. There's your opportunity, instead of them creating an illness or a fight or an outside physical manifestation, because you can either heal at will, like you do it yourself, or God, universe, source, your spirit, your soul will do it for you. So I believe if you're listening to this, you're one of those people that are like, no, I'm going to take this. I'm ready to start feeling and healing. So I don't have to create those physical manifestations that don't serve myself or the world. The victim, like we are transforming victim consciousness. That's what I love, because so many people are playing, the judge, jury, victim in all these situations inside themselves. And so when we take a step back and you look from a higher perspective, you have more energy to process the situation. But if you are stuck in that victim mindset, you need support. And that's what we do, because we've been trained to be in that mindset. And so that's why we always say, look at your parents, look at your first teachers. And the only two words I say, of course you are like this, if these are the teachers that you had. And there's a lot of empathy and compassion that's there, because I believe a lot of people, whether they believe it or not, have had trauma, whether they're repressing it or not in their life. So it's a really beautiful thing. I like to say we turn traumas into treasures. I love what you guys said, wounds into gifts. It's all coming back to that same thing. I love it. I love it so much.
And you don't have to look at your triggers
my God.
with us either. You can just look at them like they're unattained consciousnesses.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So if you look at a trigger like it's just a consciousness that I haven't attained yet, then you can look at it the same way as like, a newborn baby for the first time, or a child for the first time having their toy taken away.
Yeah.
They flip out, they react, and depending on the parent will either teach them or react to them. And they'll join them in their reaction as a child. Right. So now you have two children going through something together. Right. But instead, if you look at through it like, well, the child hasn't attained that consciousness yet. So since the parent is claiming to have a higher consciousness, then it is the responsibility of the higher consciousness to teach the lower consciousness, correct? So if we look at that the same way of ourselves, we don't have to be like, oh, I got triggered over this, or this person's triggered, or we're all triggered. Instead, we're all growing, right?
Totally.
And we shift to a teaching instead of a reacting to the world. Instead, we start to learn from it.
Which is why one of our phrases at Relationship Renegades is seek to understand, right? If we understood as humanity that we are all just growing consciousness, that we may have, we're all just floating, you're going over here, I'm going over here, learning different lessons, and just seek to understand and have that compassion for the unattained consciousness. And so beautifully said, both of you, on so many things, right? We can go on so many different legs, but I want to start going into the soul liberation event that you guys had. And if you guys are just joining us right now on the radio, you're listening to Relationship Renegades on Fun for Life Radio with Dr. Jason Ozuna and Carolyn Ozuna, talking about victim consciousness, turning traumas into treasures, and just their soul liberation event that we're about to get into. The way that I want to start this off is adding a little bit to what you said, Carolyn, about what I love about, I'll just start off. So when the first day of this 3 amazing days, what I love about it is that not only are you, how do I put this? The energy work that you guys do, there's of course tremendous release and release of all these traumas and whatnot. But what I loved about it too is that even in just being in the room and or just seeing or hearing or witnessing or sensing the things that are happening in that room. Case in point, I remember sitting on the couch, witnessing the first 3 to go on the table where you guys were doing your energy work. And I think it's called entrainment, right? And we can dive deep as to what exactly that is here in a second. But, there was 3 women that went on the table, and there was cries and screams and moaning and just a lot of releasing. And I remember just being, right, and just kind of witnessing and not having any expectations or judgments or anything, just kind of being with what was happening. And I was having an experience, right? Like things, I started to cry, right? And I remember just, like I was certainly processing through a lot of things, especially because at my core, I saw a lot of women hurt, especially given domestic violence that I was witnessing growing up as a kid. And I had healed a lot of those things, but of course there's still some residue here or there. And whether it was that or anything else in my life that have happened, it was beautiful to just have that experience, and really felt like the healing and processing just by being there, witnessing that and allowing myself to feel that, because I feel like a lot of men out there, whether it's in that, would have been in that situation or in any other situation, could be a movie, could be some music that they hear that some emotion would arise, but then they trap it in, like, because they're not supposed to cry or express or what have you. But it was beautiful just to allow my vessel to process that and kind of just warm up, of course, before I got on the table. But I wanted to just, start it off by saying that it's so powerful, your work, that you don't necessarily even need to be on the table, because it's all around in that room so powerfully. And so the question I guess I can start off with is, how would you explain the work that you do and the entrainment that happens at Soul Liberation event? And of course you can touch on, maybe what I just shared too, if there's something that landed or came up.
Did you bring her?
You can.
I'll shoot you for it.
No. That's a really in-depth question. We could probably talk for another month on.
Totally. Yeah.
Because everything's energy, right? We're energetic beings in energetic bodies in this energetic world. And we share energies. Energy, when we go through an experience, we have emotions, and then we start to feel energy and motion, right? So when we start to feel something, then we start to have the opportunity to process it, right? So if you look at, like, you go through an experience, in that experience, you start to not like it. So you judge the experience, you don't process it. And instead of experiencing it, you shove it down in your body, right? So
or
it
back
gets
here.
yeah,
That's
or
why so
back
many
there,
people have
right?
back problems. They're like, I'll look at this later.
Yeah. So then you guys can feel, anybody that's listening can know that, like, after a stressful day, they can feel it in their shoulders.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's superficial stresses, but there's also chronic stresses where it's like the big breakup, the big divorce in our family, the death in the family, all this stuff. gets lodged into our bodies the same way, right? So now it's bound energy. Now it's causing tension. It's in our subconscious. It's in our neurology, right? All the neuroplasticity that's going on. So when we actually start to work with the energy that surrounds the body or that's within the body, then we can send like impulses that disrupt the neurological system and allow it to come to the surface to be felt and expressed for the first time, right? So of course,
And then you get the wisdom of it.
yeah, and then you get the wisdom of it.
That's turning traumas into treasures. You get that wisdom from that gift, because after you experience the emotion, you get the gift.
Yes.
And so basically that's what we're doing. And we're doing, we take energetic techniques from, different disciplines, and then we kind of just like put them all together, funnel it through our souls, our intuition, and we just kind of are being guided by, our angels, God, something in addition to us that's loving, like maybe our souls, and so there's just so much that's happening energetically with our own energies, our souls, angels, God guiding the whole thing, right? And then so we go to wherever we're called to go, we say what we're called to say, and as you guys experienced yourself, it totally liberates each individual, and individually and also collectively as we all work together in the room.
No, it's so true. I mean, the people that were there, like you really do feel like you went through so much together. Like, I think, I forget how many people that were there. It was like, an intimate group, but you felt like you knew each other for 30 years because you went through 30 years of growth together in 3 days. I remember even after the first day, I was like, these people feel like family. And it was also this ability. I think what was so beautiful was just so many people really making this huge shift and breaking all this programming that feeling sadness or feeling pain is bad. And it was this big awakening of just getting to see it for what it is. And I remember, there's a lot of, like Emilio said, people crying and people processing emotion. And in my past, I was really thinking like, man, I wonder what I'd think if I was here like 10 years ago, like my 10-year ago self. If I was here, I would have had all these thoughts of like, this is crazy. This is like a bunch of bullshit. Like, I would have had all these judgments, but I would have completely missed this incredible gift of feeling more connected, more love, more compassion, more beauty than I've probably ever experienced in one setting before. And so I hope people listening, anyone that might be like, what are they talking about? Like, what is this energy work and all these different kinds of things? I just be aware of the judgments that you're having, even listening to this. And, could you expand that your mind a little bit to just, I think a lot of times we talk about this, we talked a lot about the event, like all the different moments in life where we are blocking the blessing. Like we're blocking the blessing, we're blocking the love because of our judgments of what is good or what is bad or what is acceptable or what is not acceptable based on this like programming of society. And so I just really, really appreciate the opportunity to like, I grew up in a home where it was full of doctors and scientists and I loved hearing from you, Jason, that, you grew up an engineer, like you were an engineer, you have a very like science-based mind. And I would love for you to get to talk about your evolution from going from like that way of thinking. And then all the experiences that you've had that led you to be so immersed in, everything is energy and we're just energetic beings that have this desire to grow.
And right before you start, I do want to like, just for those listening, the judgment thing is such a big thing, right? Like, but I really love the expansion on it because I think when people think judgment, it's like, okay, we all judge, but like, we want to not judge the bad things, but like a judgment of bad or even a judgment of something good is blocking the blessing or the love or just the soul connection to see what is actually happening in front of you, right? Like any judgment, no matter what. And so in however this is landing, and Rachele, wanted to talk about the engineering piece for sure. But I just wanted to like push that up to see if you feel called to expand upon that. But I think, we're constantly judging, whether it be consciously or subconsciously. Most of the time it's behind the scenes and we don't know that we're doing this constantly to ourselves or others. But I love the fact that people listening, like I don't know if I want to say beware, but just be mindful that could absolutely be the thing that's one of the many things and in a powerful way blocking you. So I just wanted to really expand on that.
I just wanted to share one thing
Yeah.
on what we're doing at the tables as well. And then I
Yes.
definitely want him to jump into how he went from engineer that to this, because it is so different. One of the things that we're doing, and because I want everyone to know listening to this, that if you come to one of our events, you have access to like this superpower. And what I know, we do different things when we're working on people. I know for me, my gift is presence. So that means I can just walk up to the table and I'm so present with this person's body, with their spirit, with their soul, with their heart. They will instantly just start moving. It's like an amplifier in their system. They actually can just like reorganize their body, and they can just start expressing all the bound energy that was once in them. So everybody has this gift of sight and superpower, like you guys are saying. And that's why I just think that's so important, because whatever anyone listening is going through in their life right now, you have to understand, are you seeing through wounded lenses, or are you standing in like love and seeing through love? Because, anger will blind you. That doesn't mean don't feel your anger. You can feel your anger and move it through you. But, I always say any more than like about 5 minutes in that emotion and you're just in a story, right? You're not actually feeling the emotion anymore. You're in a loop. And so the beauty of this is everybody can take, even just from this, like just listening to this, take away that presence. Okay, well, how am I seeing this? Am I seeing that, like you guys were saying, am I seeing this from a judgmental standpoint? Am I seeing this actually from the past? Because our past experience can color our today if we don't understand how powerful presence can be in our life. So like present to the opportunities, like what you're saying, like I love what you guys, both of you are kind of saying the same thing around being present in your life and being able to see not through the eyes of judgment, but see through the eyes of love, because that's, where relationships lie. I had one client that I came to us, and I'll never forget it. In 3 days of working with us, she lost her hearing. And I'll never forget this. And she said, she came to me and she's like, Carolyn, she's like, you told me that I was going to heal if I came to you, and I lost my hearing. And she was going through a hard time with her husband at the time. And the most amazing thing happened. I said, look, I don't know why this is happening to you, but I need you to dig deep in your soul and ask why. I need you to connect with it. So 3 days later, she messaged me and she said, I know why God took my hearing. And I said, why? And she's like, so I could finally hear God. And her and her husband were on their way to a divorce, but they had to learn a new way of communication, right? They couldn't talk anymore, sign language. So check this out. Her and her husband fell in love all over again because of this new way of communication. And after 6 months, she got her hearing back. And so I share that because people don't understand that how much universe, God, whatever you want to say. I'm not a religious person, but, light, source, universe, God, whatever you say based on your beliefs, it loves you so much. And even just listening to this, it's trying to communicate in any way it can to let you know how loved you really are, and how important you are, and how special you are, and how incredible the situations in your life are if you're only willing to see from a different perspective. And so I wanted to make sure I touched on that, because I want everyone who's listening to this to walk away with something that they can apply today to their life right now, right after they get off with their family, with their friends, in their business, in every area. So
imagine if she judged that experience.
Yeah.
Right, Don.
Yeah. Imagine if I would have been like, that's on you, baby. I was like, all right, God.
And her, like, imagine her herself, if she's like, my hearing just, it sucks that I'm going through this. And she gives up on her marriage. She gives up on everything, instead of she just keeps on connecting.
Yeah.
And then everything unfolds in front of her.
Yes.
Right?
And I love that you asked her to, like, it's everything's like within all the time. And let's asking you shall receive. And I feel like, we often the consciousness out there is like, time will heal everything. And it's like, no, processing it does, right? Coming to Soul Liberation event does, like asking those powerful questions does, like you just said, Jason, right? Like, if she wouldn't have, this could have been, instead of 3 days or 3 weeks, could have been, 3 years or 30 years.
Yeah.
And so, wow, what a powerful story to embody and exemplify that 100%.
Yeah, man, anyone listening, just thinking about, I love that question that you asked her. Go within and ask, like, why. I think you said, like, why is this happening, or why is this happening? Not from a place of like, this is the worst thing that ever happened, because I think, we talked about like a lot of the things that I thought were the worst things that ever happened to me ended up being the very best things that ever happened to me. That's why, and that's really helped me understand how to take a judgment off of a situation, because I'm like, oh wait, this might feel really challenging. But if I'm able to really just like I think a lot of us were just so programmed to be so scared to feel.
Yes.
You know, like
Yeah.
just we're so
Sure.
as a society so scared to feel anything. And I really hope people listening can just take away that, you know, to just be like, what if you just fully let yourself feel all your emotions?
Totally.
Not just like feeling happiness, but feeling sadness, feeling joy, feeling anger, feeling frustration, feeling anything that comes up. And that's just accepting it as this is a part of being human. And there, you know, like you guys taught us, there's
Yes.
this beautiful value in all the emotions. And I took this away from the event. And as I said it in my mind so many times, is that resistance is actually, and like suffering is really not being able to see the value in what's going on in that moment.
Right.
And right,
That's where the judgments come from.
in that story that you just shared, if she was in resistance and like resisted, like, this is, you know, why me? This is terrible. Like, I'm just giving up. You know, it could have led down such a dark path. But because, you know, you were able to guide her and help her see the value in that situation.
Yeah.
This beautiful experience happened.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, for all the listeners out there, part of the reason why we're afraid is because we have some of us are more highly energetic than others, right? So if you're listening and you're like somebody who has these huge reactions, right? It's like, it's intense. People are like, wow, you're intense or whatever. That's not something to feel bad about. It's actually something to feel really proud about, because you're essentially Superman, right? A lot of times we're just Superman throwing a temper tantrum. So when we think of like, well, is that a bad thing to have super strength? It's like, no, but it is important to learn how to use that super strength, right? Or else people can get hurt. So when we think about our lives, it's like, how many times have I self-sabotaged? When I got scared, I got more scared than the normal person. When I got reactive, when I got my feelings hurt, they were even more hurt. When I lost somebody, I felt it even deeper than the normal person, right? When I love, and people that get reactive at high levels can also kind of reflect and be like, I get really angry sometimes, or I get really sad sometimes, but also, don't I feel really loving sometimes? Don't I feel really like my heart just like wants to heal the world? And when they do decide to do that, it heals the world more than the normal person.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's not just a bad thing. It's just, again, going back to like seeing the value in your energy, your emotions, your intensity. Then all of a sudden, instead of trying to do what a lot of men do, or women, which is like, let me shrink my intensity down. Now they put more of their energies towards, let me not project it out. Let me just let it flow through me powerfully, and then I can rise powerfully, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to share that with people.
I did such a powerful other topic that I'm so glad you brought up, because I mean, you just said it exactly the way that it needed to be said, but I feel like a lot, I think, we certainly, I think, have those intense energies. And I think you guys said that you do too, but in a beautiful way, like you mentioned. And I love the way you said,
when you got here, right? We had to, that's what I mean. We had to teach ourselves to get here. Before, it wasn't that way for either one of us.
It did not look like this when we that first year. I swear, it was tough.
But it was like the awareness and the honoring and respecting that I have intense energies, and you have intense energies. So when whatever trigger comes up, I love that way that you guys put it now and on the event, that just being aware of that and honoring and respecting that, then you're actually able to see what actually is happening, right? And actually get to the root of the problem, if you will, or peeling back the onion, because you're just like, oh, this is just my intense energy.
Yes.
Or yours.
Yeah.
Right?
Or the others.
Which is so beautiful for anyone listening, because I remember having conversations with people, and obviously, like, you know, I chose a career path where I get to express and show all my emotions for a very specific reason. I understand now that I didn't fully understand then. But I remember talking with people, you know, some mentors, being like, is there something wrong with me? Like, I feel so deeply.
So much.
And I think a lot of people out there, you know, might get labeled with diagnoses that are, or these like labels, right? That like, oh, you have depression, or you have, you know, ADD, or you have all these things that, you know, I'm so excited for a world that I feel like is in our future, where all those labels really go away. And it's more just like, oh, no, you just have an amazing gift. You have an amazing gift that you can feel so much.
Yeah.
And when you can really honor and respect that, not just the feelings of good feelings that you can feel, but also the feelings of sadness or heaviness or whatever you want to call that, that can feel so heavy. So like, I just didn't know I felt like there was something wrong with me. And now it's this, you know, when I have been more and more able to understand, like, no, I just get to feel a lot, and that's a gift.
Yeah.
You know, it was like this huge weight lifted off my shoulders.
And I gotta just say real quick, just on that, just real quick, is I remember, and you being present, Carolyn, I mean, when you guys were both working on me, there was both powerful situations, which we could touch on here in a bit. But I remember on this topic, Carolyn, at one point during the energy work, during the entrainment, you whispered in my ear, like, your ability to feel so much is one of your superpowers or gifts or strengths or talents, you know? And it was like,
feel so deeply is your greatest gift, because it really was. And
it just like lightning through my body, like boom, you know, like whether at that point I was screaming, crying, or like whichever it was, like it just like came through me, and something that I certainly needed to hear and feel and experience, just because I've been on that journey to feel more and to, of course, be authentically me and to connect constantly to my soul. And it was just so beautiful to hear that. And so I just wanted to kind of share that real bit on this topic.
For sharing that, because the law of attraction, I mean, people are attracted to people who are alive inside their bodies. People are attracted to people who can feel emotions. And the reasons why they're attracted to them is because they're not walled off. They're not guarded. Have you ever met someone who's guarded and they don't really let you in? It's hard to be around them, right? You kind of tense up a little bit, but you guys are open, and that's what makes people want to be around you. It's an attraction factor. And I wanted to share, this is one of the best things that I have learned through this energy work, through Jason, just through my own learnings as well. But really, like, working together, we've learned this. And I really want your listeners to hear this, to expand both ways. So if they're feeling anxiety, you know, if they're feeling a lot of judgment, that means they're also expanding into acceptance powerfully. If they're feeling a tremendous amount of hate, they're expanding into love powerfully on the other end of that. So I love what someone had said to me once. They said, enlightenment feels like one hand stretched into heaven and one hand stretched into hell. And this is your ability to feel everything on that emotional scale and just let it flow through you in this just like powerful thing. So if someone is feeling like a lot of anxiety or a lot of fear or a lot of this, that means you're expanding into your faith more than you ever had. It expands both ways. See, most people think it only, so if they feel doubtful, that means something big. Their faith is about to be expanded. They're pushing up against their limits of what they think is possible. So of course, doubt is going to come up. So I get so excited about this stuff because these concepts that we share at Soul Liberation, and like someone could come here with no idea what we do, or just having all these things that they want to process. And like you said, to them, just being there will do the job, because they're getting in resonance with the energy and everybody there. And that's an important factor, because when you have 17 people, you know, going the same like this, everybody else starts going like this too. You can't not. It's like a spirit, a heart, you know, it's like that.
And high energy people.
Yes. So I get so excited because I know that anybody who does come to these events just has, like, you know, some people quadruple their income. I remember one woman couldn't get pregnant, you know, after she had an abortion. She got pregnant in a month after our Soul Liberation. So it's just like these type of experiences and results are there was no other word but like extraordinary. And that's why I was so grateful that you guys got to experience it, because you guys are already so extraordinary in the world and impacting people on such great levels, that I was just so excited for you guys to experience a little bit of this to add to what you guys are already doing.
Yeah.
So,
man, we have no words could express our gratitude for that. And I've already felt like such a massive shift. And, you know, I think we talked about at the event, and we are going to get back to
engineer.
But, you know, there's just, there's no words, you know, like that feeling of wholeness that you talked about. Like, I just feel this feeling of like wholeness and connection that I've just never experienced before. And I think one of the greatest gifts was this understanding of, you know, I've always felt like I had these two parts inside me, one that felt like super powerful, then another part that felt like not good enough. And I think, you know, to some extent, I feel like we might all have that inside of us. One part that feels like they are good enough, another part that feels like they're not good enough. And most of my life, I thought that the only way to deal with that was to push away and try to like deny and push away and not even accept the fact or admit the fact that I had this part of me that didn't feel good enough. And also because of those two polarizing things that I have inside me, it's very like physically manifested in my scoliosis that I have, of literally two sides of my body, like pulling apart from each other, like not in communication, not in alignment, not in acceptance of each other. So it was so cool. I've never thought about it like that before. And, you know, in the energy work and all the processing and releasing and the different experiences we got to go through, one, it was like the first time ever that I felt like both sides of my body and my back were actually able to communicate and feel each other. Cause I never had felt that before. Cause they just felt, one felt numb and one felt like overpowering. And that's exactly what my life was. And, you know, people listening, I hope you can just really take in the fact, like our physical body is such a reflection of what's going on internally. And after the event, like I've really been able to face all sides of me, you know, like to admit that I have this stubborn, selfish side of me that I never really wanted to admit before. And to be able to love and accept and also this part of me that doesn't feel good enough, rather than pushing it away, like really able to love and care for that side of me, as well as the side of me that feels really powerful and strong. And most of my life I had this, you know, because of those polarizing things, this feeling like I needed to perform to get love, or to impress people to get love, or all this different kind of stuff that caused so much stress and anxiety and in my body. And now it just feels like anywhere I go feels like home, because I don't have any of those feelings anymore. And that's the power, I think, of love and compassion and acceptance of all pieces and parts of us. And just a testament to the work that you guys do. And to anybody that feels like they have this battle within them, I hope like just runs to you guys, because you're the ones that can really help them, you know?
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's so beautiful.
The not good enough energy and the stubbornness, these are all, like, going back to the judgments, these are all things that are just wanting to evolve. So when you look at it like, well, my stubbornness, when it's coming from a place of fear, is not going to serve me as much as it is when it's coming from a place of love, because there is a time to be stubborn. And there's also a time to feel like we're not good enough, is when we need to like call upon everybody that we're in relationship with, because, you know, relationship renegades, everything in this world, in this existence, deals with relationship and what we're in relationship to. Right. So it's just parts of us. And going back to Emilio's question, the judgments are, again, consciousness is not attained yet. Right. So when you start to see that whatever you're judging, whether it be a stubborn part or I'm not enough part, all of us, because we all judge, you know, some element of us in the same way that you did, then we can say, actually, this is just a not enough part that's trying to grow into this maturity, to grow to a place where it's coming from my heart and my soul instead of my, you know, undeveloped fear. So then like, well, why would I feel like I'm not enough? Like, one of my greatest superpowers at these events is feeling like it's not all me doing it, which means I get to allow God to flow through me, you guys to interact with each other. I get to, you know, connect people to each other, call on the unseen forces. Like, of course it's not just me, and I'm not enough, in a beautiful way. And remember, we're actually going from separation to oneness. So along with that is the feeling of I am enough. So it's like, I am both not enough in a beautiful way and enough in a beautiful way. And then the two become one, and that's oneness. You can do the same thing with my, you know, our stubbornness. I'm stubborn and I'm not stubborn. The more they're coming from love, the more they join, and they're actually the same thing. And then we keep on becoming more and more whole, more and more whole, more and more enlightened, more and more one. Right. And that's why we feel literally like heaven on earth by the time we're done with, you know, on that third day, is because we're feeling so one with everyone and so one with everything, that everything is just perfect and we can see it, we can feel it. Right. And it's like a whole different world.
It is.
I feel like, oh my gosh, so beautifully said. I feel like every time you guys talk, it's a mic drop, mic drop, mic drop, mic drop.
I know.
Just keep dropping them.
Yeah. Or instead of the mic drop or the explosions in some of the events, it'll just be like the soul connecting every time you guys say something. But I think that was so big for me too. You know, we referenced Superman in this kind of conversation we've been having, right? And also in the event. And to kind of like add on to what you were saying, I think for me too, like there were things that I judged about myself, you know, that I felt guilty and shameful for the way, some of the ways that I used to live back in the day. And I've healed from those parts, but I still used to have judgment. And I think I've healed from some of those things, but maybe not completely. And, you know, the analogy really takes us home of like, you know, I don't know, Superman, right? Has his laser vision and everything. And he can use that to destroy people. It's a superpower, but he could also use that to like, I don't know, like open up a thing so someone can pass through or like whatever it may be. Yeah. And so I think like, whatever it is that you're judging that you don't like about yourself, like, and again, I know this is like deepening and adding to it, but I can't say that enough, at least for me, is like going back and really loving those parts because I can use those parts for good. Mm-hmm. And like you said, that just the hand stretched out, like both are amazing. And both of their, so I really feel like those listening right now, like if there's certain things that you're judging yourself on, whether it be the past or something that you're doing now, like how can you really turn that into treasure, because that is treasure, right? And so I just wanted to say that because that really certainly helped me in all the processing as well. And I got to just mention too, if you're just tuning in right now, the soul liberation event of these two is certainly one of the most incredible, powerful, divine 3 days that you'll ever experience. Yes. I've never seen two people, like when I was sitting on the couch before I got on the table, and I voiced this to you guys because it was so true. Like it was one of the most beautiful things that I've ever seen in my entire life.
Wow.
And I mean that so sincerely. Like I literally, it was coming up in my mind. I was like, as that was coming through me, and then I started to create a story of like me saying that to somebody and then being like, well, you traveled around the world, Emilio, you've been in New Zealand, this and that, and I've seen some incredible, beautiful things. But I remember like having that dialogue in my head and then me like telling back to them like, nope, all of those things. This was the most beautiful thing that I've ever seen. And like, I literally had that experience because my mind's all over the place sometimes. And I remember having that, but like, it was so.
You went through a whole movie, an interview.
I went a whole. I did, but it's so true. Like, because it felt and looked like angels on earth, like just beautifully weaving, seeing to the divine energies come through, you speaking here, you working with each other. And it was just like, it was so perfect. And that alone had me tearing up. And then of course we got on the tables, and of course, if we have time, we can share our experiences on this, but I can't share that enough. I'm just so grateful for everything that you guys went through and that you guys are doing right now to really, turn victim consciousness and traumas into treasures, because it really is that. And I can't say that enough.
Yeah. And I really, because, obviously people have heard so much about this event, about the beautiful work that you do. I would really love people to understand where you came from, like your stories, both Carolyn, where you came from to get you here, as well as Jason, you coming from and being an engineer to get you here. Because, I think sometimes we hear interviews and we see people doing these amazing, beautiful things, saving the world, healing people. And we often forget like the journey that they had to go through to get there.
Yeah.
I would love, whoever wants to go first.
With somebody
just,
beyond right
share
now.
your
really quickly
story.
For me.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to be somebody who connects people to God ever since I remember me being 8 years old and just praying to God, just like, whatever it takes, bring me to you and help me bring others to you too. Like 8, and I don't even know where it was coming from. And then my dad was an engineer, a chemical engineer. And then I was like, I really love science. So there was something already being built with like two sides, like we're talking about the polarities. We're trying like on a massive scale, where I was feeling a lot of spirituality and also a lot of like scientific, logical stuff coming together. And then once they were both developed, then, to answer your question earlier, it's like, I feel that somebody that's really, really intelligent can't look at science only in its pure form without the spirituality aspect of it too, right? So then they started to combine, and then from that point, everything on my path led me here, because I saw them both together, and I let them, be explained. And that's part of my gift of how to explain this stuff in such a clear way, in a simple way for people, using both together.
Wow, that was quick. I say that to you. Man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it in that time. All right, Don't put 2 minutes on the clock here. Okay. That was really good. Okay. So I love what you said about people who listening right now, they have like dreams and hopes, and they see people who are successful. Like they look at you guys and like, how is your relationship like that? How'd you guys get to this level? How do you do this? How do you do this? And they compare their chapter 2 to your chapter 20, and they don't know all the heartbreaks that you had to go through. I mean, your body was literally twisting in 2 different ways. And for you to be the most loving, beautiful soul that you are right now, you know, you had to process all of your emotions and to be able to call each other in and then powerfully recognize people, because there are currently angels that are in people's lives right now, but we see them as like these villains. You know, if someone's playing a villain in your story, they love you more than ever. I promise you that. That is like one of the biggest lessons I've learned, because I've made so many people villains in my story. And I'll never forget, I lived with a monk for a year, and one of the things that happened at the end was she said, I love you so much that I'm willing to play the monster in your story if you want me to. And like in that way, because we were just having like a lot of like dissonance, like just not understanding each other. And I wasn't understanding some of the lessons she was giving to me because at the time I just couldn't see. I wanted to make her the villain. I was more projection rather than self-reflection. And so, because I couldn't see myself at the time, because if I saw those parts of myself, that meant like I shouldn't exist, right? Like that, like maybe I was a horrible person if I had these parts. So that's why we resist sometimes so greatly, because we say, well, doesn't that mean I'm a bad person? No, it means you're a perfect person. It means you have all parts you like, parts you don't like. And so the reason I started out my journey in healing, this is back in 2014. I was in a 9-to-5 job. I was really unhappy, and I was starting to look up bridges to kill myself, because I was just so done with this life, and
with an intense energy,
with like this intense energy. Yeah. And instead of finding this bridge, I remember I had this like outer body experience where like I just felt like an angel was hugging me, and I saw my kid, and I was like, I don't want my kid to go through that. And there was a lot of suicide in my lineage. My dad's brother had committed suicide, my cousin did, my sister tried 3 times. So I was like, I'm not giving into this energy, that this lineage energy, like I am going to be the chain breaker here. I'm going to be the chain breaker. And I instead of that, I got guided to an event, and that was it. It was just like, I knew from that point on, my life was going to be different. And within a week, I quit smoking. I quit my job. My husband left me, and I started this Soul Liberation Spark Your Rockstar brand. And, the beauty of that is, I got to build this community and build all these people, and they just started to make their dreams come true. My brand is Spark Your Rockstar, dreams do come true, because that was my belief. Anyone with a dream or a vision, if they believe it, they can have it, they can do it. And you just start taking the soul aligned action. And so that's why I created the 7-day Heal to Manifest challenge, because if you can understand that manifestations come from healing, and you start that healing process, it will change your life. Even if you just do the 7-day Heal to Manifest challenge, I sent you the link. They can go join the group now and get those free meditations if you guys want to give it to at the end. But one of the things I'll say is that if they start that lineage process, be prepared for massive amounts of energy to come up. Yeah. And so that's what I always tell people: be prepared to face yourself. And truth murders things sometimes, and it doesn't mean murders people. It murders parts of your perception of who you think you are.
Yes.
Does that make sense? So we help people face that truth, and that's my story. Like, just being able to see that I could create a multi-million-dollar business. I mean, I literally was living in my sister's basement with my 7-year-old. And I remember that moment where I was like, I'm like, success didn't happen when I got the money, when I got the house, when I got the guy, when I got the car. Success happened the moment in my sister's basement when I was looking at my 7-year-old sleeping. And I was like, this is not the way this is going. This is not the way this is ending. And I was like, we're going to be successful. And I decided in that moment, it was a decision that changed the rest of my life. And so if you viewers today have a decision to make every day, every moment, are we going to be successful? And whatever your idea of success is. But I remember that was when success was born, not when I got all the outside physical manifestations, but when it actually birthed within me this birthright that we all have of abundance. So so that's my story, and just a small part of it. And
Yeah.
I'm so grateful I was able to share it with
Crying over here, you know.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing all
Yeah,
that.
thank you so much for sharing all that. And I just hope people listening, you know, with both of you, right? You went through, Jason, a terrible breakup. Your dad passed away the same day. Like you had to go from probably this whole identity of being an engineer. I know you shared you got fired from that job. Like all these things, you know, and Caroline, you know, thinking about, you know, I remember reading in your book, you know, that part where you were in your cubicle, like researching bridges to jump off of. And I just hope people listening know that, like, if you're going through that, like these stories, like, you know,
These are the moments.
These are the moments that, like, there is absolutely hope, and there is absolute, like, there is help and love and support all over the place. And it's just like, are we willing to let it in? Are we willing to let love in? Are we willing to just like put ourselves out there and say, hey, I need help, like help, you know, like I need help.
Help is a superpower.
Yes. Getting support
Yeah.
when you need it and listening to your soul's calling for it. That's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
biggest thing in the world.
Yeah.
I think, and that's such a like a whole nother podcast, right? Just about like how everything you've ever wanted is just the amount. I love the way that you guys put at the event. And after I say this, I'll check in with time too with you guys too,
Yes.
just to see how you guys want to respect your time. But this, you know, I think a lot of people out there, whether they're calling it God, source, universe, soul, whatever it is, that sometimes people are saying, you know, God, why have you forsaken me? Because they're in these moments. Whereas like you guys said it so beautifully at the soul liberation event was, well, what if it was that, why have we forsaken God?
Yeah.
And I love that you shared that, because God is always, and you both were saying this, right? Like God, and I think Carolyn also was saying, it's like, God is always, every moment of every day, showing up in a whisper and a knock and a person on a billboard, on a song, and everything. And it's like, are we listening? And, or do we have guards up, and are we not allowing love in? And I think the moments we can reflect and say, hey, where am I showing up as this security guard I may have created when I was a kid?
Yeah.
To help me feel safe, can I remove that and really allow it in?
Yeah.
And yeah, so I mean, I think that's such a big topic, and maybe a part two, and we'll,
Yes,
you know, but
definitely we need a part two.
but I mean, I want to take
There's a lot, right?
If something landed, do share. But I'm going to be
Yes.
sharing the gift that you guys have with our audience.
Yes, let's say the number.
Yeah,
The number
okay.
that they can text to get it.
Before I do, is there anything that you wanted to share with that, or you can wait? How are we doing?
We're good.
Yeah, I
sorry.
loved what you said. I loved what you just said. I really
Yeah.
liked that you added that. That was a really
Yeah.
beautiful piece. But yeah, you can share that stuff, and then
Yeah.
we're excited to welcome them into the community, and we're just really add value to their lives and support them with some of the tools that have changed our lives and helped us bridge the gap from where we were to where we wanted to be. And so
Yeah.
Yes. Well, you guys should absolutely just skip ahead and go to Soul Liberation. But you guys dip your feet in the water and really feel this stuff. Thank you so much for offering this to our audience. So a free gift to everyone listening for our Relationship Renegades tribe. If you text, so I'll give a moment, grab a pen, grab a paper, or get your memorization ready. You may be in the car, but text HEAL, HEAL, HEAL to, here we go, 1-855-810-8013. And I'll say that one more time. Text HEAL to 1-855-810-8013. And when you do that, you'll receive 7-day Heal to Manifest challenge, where you can really start to heal your lineage today.
yes.
All we have is right now. Yeah. And we're going to be putting some links too after the radio show, where you can, go to their group. But just, if those listening right now, if you go to facebook.com/groups/heal to manifest, you can get access to 7 life-changing healing sessions for free.
Yes.
And this is their gift, their free gift to the listeners for our audience. So thank you so much for that. And I also want to mention too, there's a website that you can check on as well, which is www.sparkyourrockstar.com /soul-liberation.
I made it really easy for you guys.
It's crazy.
Soul Soul liberation events.
Just Google Spark Your Rock Star. And
Yeah.
you'll find
It comes
Spark Your
right
Rock
up.
Star,
Spark
it'll
your
be
rock
there.
star. You can't miss it.
Yes.
Yes, awesome.
And there's one other goodie, because this is the big one that we just came out of,
Yes.
everybody.
Yes.
So the contact information for those who want to join them on their next live event they're going to be having,
Yes.
or interested in connecting one-on-one with Jason or Carolyn, or in their groups, text Soul Ready, all caps, Soul Ready, to 610-751-1664. Text Soul Ready to 610-751-1664.
And
And if anyone has any questions and didn't
so
that,
ready.
just message us at Relationship Renegades and we'll send you everything, and or just click the
Thank
links below in the description. We'll make
Yeah.
it super easy for you guys. But ultimately, all you have to say, just message us Soul Liberation or any questions you have about this episode. And real quick, I do want to, and I know we need to wrap this up pretty quickly here, but we always like to ask this final question of a question that we feel is just so important. And I know we've talked about a lot of renegade moments on the show so far, but we would love to know whether it's something you already shared, you just want to add to, or something that, you didn't get to talk about. What was each of your renegade moment? And that renegade moment, meaning that moment in time where you decided, like, I am done, enough is enough. Like, I'm no longer going to do what I used to do. I'm going to break patterns. I'm going to be this renegade. I'm going to choose differently. What was a renegade moment that you would love to share with our audience to close us out?
Oh my gosh, there's so many I could share, but I'll just share this one thing. And like when I decided to really invest in myself, like when I went to that event, I had to take out a $5,000 loan. I remember my ex-husband, it was my husband at the time. He's like, you can't go to that event. You don't have the money to. And if I hadn't gone, like we would not be communicating today. But when you start listening to your soul, it's extremely scary. So a renegade moment for me was that moment where I took out that $5,000 loan, where I was just like, no, this is just who I am. Like, I'm claiming this for myself. And I took a leap of faith before I actually saw that staircase. And I know people talk about that a lot, but I promise you, you are literally, when you do that, when you take that leap before you have the funds or before these things come in, truly the door really does open up. The relationships open up, the healing in your body opens up. People heal, cancer or hearing or whatever it is, when you take that leap of faith. So that was my renegade moment when I decided to invest in myself and stop listening to the outside culture around me of what success looked like or felt like or what everyone was doing. And I was just like, no, like, this is just who I am. And so claiming who you are and claiming what you want, that's my renegade moment.
Yeah. I mean, the best investment for sure is in yourself always. And so, I
really want people to hear that. Like, we would not be here having this conversation if she didn't make that one action. Like, probably, who knows if you and Jason would have found each other, who knows if, like, there's all these things, like our decisions really do make a huge difference. And I think it's just like, things will just keep showing up until we finally decide, like, I'm going to be a renegade.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think our culture is so trained, like and I'm not saying this to bring the mood down. I hope this brings it up because I want to heal this. Every 40 seconds, someone is successfully committing suicide. And I truly believe it's because we are in this culture where we have to be something like we're supposed to be instead of be who we are, And so that was a really big moment for me, for sure. Just like really understanding, like, cause I think I probably would have taken my own life if I hadn't done that. So and I don't say that lightly, that's an intense energy. And now I want to live more than I've ever wanted to in my whole life. Like I just love it. And I'm so grateful that I got a chance to heal that. And I just hope that everyone gets that chance to face these energies within them that they might have demonized or think that are monsters, or like you said, not good enough, whatever it is, but they're not. They are just versions of you that you have ignored that are desperately trying to get love in whatever way they can. So
if you look at it like they have intense energies, then anything with a lot of power, energy included, if you're not trained or taught how to use it, then it's like giving a license to drive to a 5-year-old. So that's why we're saying, like, please get support when you feel these ways. Anybody out there that's feeling like this intense, like, man, I don't even want to be in this life anymore. I can't do it anymore. It's like, start knowing that, like, there's an incredible amount of power there. And maybe you just haven't been taught to wield it to its fullest potential. Right. And so,
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Jason, what about you, real quick, just to wrap us up? What would be your renegade moment?
My renegade moment was definitely one when I was like 8, but also, going in kind of like in conjunction with what we're saying with the challenge and the support, the moment of my most painful event in my life, which is my dad passing and my girlfriend breaking up at the same time. The moment that I said, where's my support? And I let, God into my heart. Then I started paying attention, and I finally woke up, opened my eyes, and I found her. And I found myself, and everything that we've been doing together with our powers combined has just led to so much beauty and love in the world.
Wow. I hope that everyone listening can feel their love, because we certainly can.
Yeah.
And it is so beautiful to witness. And thank you again for everything you guys are doing. For those listening, if you could just restate y'all's mission and vision for the world as we wrap this up, I'd love for everyone to hear that again.
And again, where they can find you.
And where can they find you guys?
Thank you guys so much. First, I just want to acknowledge both of you. You're just doing, I know you don't need me to, but I'm grateful that you do these things, because people need to hear these things. Like, people need to hear stories like this. They really do. And they need to see how it's done, and they need to see because if you're listening to this, like, one of the things that I do is, like, when I see someone succeeding or someone successful or someone in a beautiful relationship, I used to celebrate before I got Jason. I used to say, oh, I'm so happy for them. If I see it, that means it's close to me. So your listeners can be excited, because if they're close to you, if they're close to this, relationship renegades, they're close to that relationship they want. And we can always take our relationships to the next level. So our mission is to support those in life that are really ready to go to that next level spiritually, but spiritually meaning it spiritually trickles down into everything: spiritual business, spiritual in body, spiritual in relationship, in every area. We want to, that's how I would describe it, and supporting them and be able how to use their powerful energy to create the life of their dreams and what they desire. And where they can find us, and I'll let you wrap us up, but where they can definitely find us is if you guys text Soul Ready to 610-751-1664. That is like my personal number. I will take care of you guys.
Oh, man.
I normally don't do that, but I'm doing it for those listening to this podcast, for those that are really serious about getting the support. Like, if you want to come to an event or you want to experience some of this energy work, this is for people that are ready to invest in themselves, though. So that this, and obviously you can get the free meditations if that's your pathway. Please do that. That's why I offered that free gift. But for those who really want to dive in, really want to take that leap with us, text that number for sure. And is there anything you wanted to say to wrap us up on our vision?
Just to, at one point we were all babies, and when we're being held as one, or we're holding one, we remember that it's here for that baby's here for the experience. It's a gift to this world, and there's nothing they can do that's wrong. And so if we just remember that every time we think that we're wrong or somebody else is wrong, then we can add compassion and love to that, and we can actually do the learning and growth that's really being called for. And we can rise together and grow our hearts, grow our souls, grow our connection to everybody, and everybody collectively, we can rise the consciousness of humanity and the love that we all feel together.
I love it so much. Let's just all see each other as babies. If you just look at someone else, like, just see the baby in them.
They're just throwing a tantrum, right? You see a 40-year-old throwing the keys, slamming the doors. It's like a 4-year-old, right?
Totally.
Like I said, we're all just little kids in bigger bodies who just want love. That's pretty much it.
Amen. Amen to that.
Yeah, that are looking for growth, right? We are little kids wanting to grow into these powerful souls, these beings of light. That's what we're doing every day.
Amazing. Well, thank you guys so much again. Thank you for the work you do. So excited for more. I feel like we need to just create our own TV show together, where we just do this all the time. Anybody wants this as a TV show, with us four just hosting it together, that's what we need to create.
You know what other seed I'll plant too, and I wrote it in my notes amongst so many notes on the event, was when you were talking about love and not being emotion, what it really was and what it really is, and the true story of love. Because we're showing a certain story of love on television, and a lot of what we're doing is creating a lot of conscious media, but a lot of conscious TV and film, where they're not only having that impact, but they're integrating it, actually having behavioral consistencies habit formation and identity transformation to really, raise that. One of the biggest things is media. People watch TV and film all the time, but they're getting programmed in a way that may not be to connect to their soul, like we're talking about here today. So when I was like, oh, well, maybe we'll make a movie together on this true story of love.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. So planning that season.
Yes. It's out.
I would love that. Actually, I'm not kidding.
Idea.
I've already, I wanted a script on how that entered. Like I literally had told Jason this before. I wanted to create a script on how, to actually show how the lineage gets slid down. Like when I was crying, my mom's brushing my hair, my dad cuts off all my hair. Okay, we don't cry. Everyone has a certain experience in their life where they're programmed a certain way through past patterns and conditioning. And so we can unlearn that. We can reprogram. Like you were saying, your body was communicating. That's all our body is a community of cells. And once they start to communicate with each other, the organization just naturally takes its place. So it's exciting stuff. I would love that. That would be great.
All right, so any producers or filmmakers listening, whoever wants to be part of that, just message us.
Yes.
Yeah, we're just putting it out there. Pretty soon, a year from now, we'll look back on this episode and be like, oh my gosh, we did it.
There it was.
But anyways, just thank you everyone for listening. Stay tuned for lots more from the four of us, hopefully together working to create some beautiful things together. And just so much love, guys. You've been listening to Relationship Renegades on Fun for Life Radio. And we love you so much, and we'll see you on the next one.
We love you so much. Thank you again, everyone.
Thank you guys so much. Yeah, such an honor to be with you guys.